All right, welcome to the Marriage Boss Podcast, and I'm totally pumped up today because I've got a special guest, and this is somebody who I just met recently, and I'm going to tell you all about her. In 2013, Reshma set out on a trip of a lifetime in search of answers, purpose, and to discover herself in India. She traveled from Chicago to the banks of the Ganges River in India for the Kumbha Mela, joining millions at the world's largest spiritual gathering. Just so happens that at the time, Oprah's TV network OWN was looking to film people on this very journey for an upcoming docuseries called Belief, which has already happened and she's already been on it. Now, 2 years later, the time has come to share these journeys with the world, and Reshma will be one of the first featured on the series. And I saw it, and it was an amazing show, inspired me to contact her. Not only is this extremely exciting for Reshma to be featured on the show, but its timing couldn't be more perfect with the launch of her online shop, because her experience in India had a big part in the creation of Made with a Purpose, which is her business. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. And the show will give you a glimpse into that early journey, which led to Made with a Purpose being born. And I'd like to welcome to the show Reshma Thakkar. Reshma, welcome to the Marriage Boss Podcast.
Thank you, Rick. I'm so excited to be with you today.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I think that the thing that is going to be the most exciting about your journey for our audience is that you took a big leap, and you were. I'll let you tell everybody what you were doing when you started to go on this belief quest. But so tell us a little bit about the journey.
Sure. So I was I think I had just turned 30, and I was at the peak of my career. I had a very, very successful career. I had a great life. I was living in the city of Chicago. I had a beautiful car, a beautiful home, wonderful social life, great friends. It looked like I had the whole package. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because, like I said, from the outside it looked great, but from the inside, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I was feeling empty and lost and confused and isolated. And I tried to numb that feeling, by just staying busy all the time. I'm an amazing overachiever. Mm-hmm. I would fill my calendar from morning till night with work and gym and friends and whatever else I could possibly fill it with. But when I woke up in the morning, I could not get away from that dreadful void that I would feel in the pit of my stomach. And so that was pretty much the only time that I would let that feeling really surface. And like I said, I would kind of squash it down as quickly as I could. So it just kept getting louder and louder and more persistent. And I finally decided that, I just can't, I can't do this anymore. I just need to get away. I needed to get away. I needed to go find myself again. I needed to figure out who I was, what I wanted to do, what my life was about, and so for me, it seems funny to say the most obvious answer was to go to India, but that's how I felt. I just felt like, I need to go. That's where I need to be. And so I did it. I bought my one-way ticket and I took off.
Wow. Now leading up to this, you had done everything right according to the story that you were brought up with. Education, career, social life. And so you were probably doing everything that you were taught as a young person. And you were kind of filling this, you had fulfilled this picture. I guess that, we like to say it's our story, what we're, kind of groomed for. So what made you decide that you had to listen to this voice? Because a lot of people out in our audience right now are hearing this voice, but they're not paying attention to it. So what made you confident that you were doing the right thing when you dropped everything and went to India?
So actually, what you just said about my cultural story isn't 100% true, because I had been pushing against those, that kind of the box that everyone was trying to fit me in for a very long time. So what culturally was expected of me was that I should have been either a doctor or an engineer. Which I started out, I studied all throughout school, high school, and then I started college being pre-med. And 2 years in, I realized that's not what I wanted. And so I had to face my parents, and I had to say, this isn't what I wanted. And I was like, shaking in my
Oh my
boots,
God.
afraid to tell them. And they weren't happy. Um, and it was funny because I would take these little courageous steps
Yeah.
throughout life. So it was interesting. So I said I didn't want to be a doctor, but I wasn't 100% sure what it was that I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So I still stayed in the healthcare realm, but I did more of the like health administration side of it.
Yep.
Then, I should also have been married by 23, 24, and
Hmm.
married to a doctor, had beautiful
Yep.
babies,
Yep.
lived in a beautiful house. And I really pushed against that too. My parents would bring me, in our culture, there's like a system where, arranged marriage is very common. So
Yeah.
they would bring me proposals and introductions, and I would have these internal battles because there was a part of me that was like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
And I would feel tremendous amount of guilt for not doing, just not peacefully accepting it. And there would be another part of me that was like screaming, like, this is not what I want. Um, so sometimes I would just flat out say no, and other times I'd be like, fine, I'll meet them. And then I'd meet them and be like, oh my God, why did I do that? Because
And
this
are
is
you
not,
the oldest child?
I'm the oldest child.
So there's a certain responsibility that comes with that too, to kind of set an example. And you have a sister,
I have a younger sister.
and so so there's the whole example thing. Yeah.
And my dad's side, I'm the oldest child of all of my cousins.
Oh
So,
man.
you know,
Wow.
it was a lot. And so there was, like I said, a lot of guilt and expectation and all of those things that came along with it. So I was constantly doing this dance between feeling like I was wrong and doing something bad because I was going against what everybody does,
Hmm.
but at the same time feeling this like sense of suffocating because I couldn't live that life. No matter how hard I tried to
Yeah.
do it, I just couldn't.
So this brings me to our first big realization that at any time in our lives, when we are fulfilling the hopes and dreams of another person, our parents, our teachers, our community, our culture, and we are ignoring this serious voice, not just whim and not just child rebellion, but serious discovery and belief, which is the theme of what you're doing now and what Oprah has done, and of course, the belief quest. And so it really makes us. This is about permission to
Yeah.
go ahead and follow that voice, and so you make the decision. You've done some mini rebellions, so now they're used to this more. So they're maybe coming to expect that you're going to be the independent one. You're going to be, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
If when you have a child, you want them to be independent. So I think that's important. Okay, so you make the trip. So take us from there.
So yeah, so then I take this trip, and I actually started my trip by doing a 3-week trek by myself in Nepal because I needed a disconnect that bad. Where I was
Okay.
like, I want to be alone as far away from this reality as I can get,
Mhm.
and that's what I did.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I did that, and then I took a trip from there to India, and I ended up at the Kumbha Mela. And the Kumbha Mela, like you said, is the largest spiritual gathering of people on the planet. And what I wanted from that, it's so funny. I really didn't know that much about it, but I knew I needed to be there. And I kid you not, I was convinced that I was going to magically meet some teacher in orange flowy robes that was just going to be able to tell me everything I needed to know and answer all my questions and just give me a sense of peace. And so I got there, and I started talking to some of these people, and I was really discouraged. And I felt like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And keep in mind now I have a camera crew with me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a tiny bit of pressure to come up with something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was talking to all these people, and those men, don't get me wrong, I have a lot of love and respect for them. And I think that what they're doing is necessary, but I didn't know how to translate what they were teaching through their practices into my life. Maybe I wasn't, I don't know, I'm sure it was in there somewhere, but all I saw was they meditate for 18 hours a day. They keep, one guy had his arm up in the air for like 14 years or something,
Yep.
and they're doing these crazy physical things. And I was like, well, what do I do with that? I have to go to work. I have to live my life. I have to pay my bills. I want to get married. I don't want to give up all of that.
Yeah.
So now what do I do? So day 5, I was only there for 7 days. Day 5, I'm still just like, oh my gosh, this isn't happening.
Wow.
And so then I was just wandering. I was like, I want to just talk to normal people. So I was wandering along the bank of the river, and I see this old man. And maybe some people have seen the show, maybe they haven't. But I see this old man and his family, and I sit down with them, and I was just like, how do you have so much faith that you came here? You believe in something bigger than you. You're so like sure of who you are and your place in the world. And I was like, how do I get that? I want that. And he basically told me, he was like, when it's your time, it'll all be revealed to you. Like, take the pressure off. Why are you just want an answer and you just want to get to some destination, but there is no destination. Like, it's about the here and now, and like doing what makes you happy and finding the passion in what you're doing. I think a lot of people, and you might remember this from the Explorer Quest, we talked about it a little bit, but a lot of people keep looking for something outside of what they're already doing that's like their calling or their passion or their purpose. But he was so right. I mean, if you just take a second to be present to your life as it is now, which parts of your life are you like loving, and what can it's about bringing that excitement and enthusiasm to things you're either already doing or can be doing more of.
Yeah.
And then making changes where you need to make changes and not making it such a big, drastic ordeal. We do that to ourselves. Nobody else is doing that to us.
Well, there is I think there is a notion that if you're in a regular job, you should be an entrepreneur, you should be on your own. So we always want to be free from the thing that we have or are doing now. And if you're an entrepreneur, you say, wow, I wish I had a paycheck and stability. And so you're right. There is, and I did notice that in the 7-day Belief Explorer Quest, which we are going to give people the link to so they can check that out. It was terrific. You interviewing some amazing spiritual leaders and personalities, and that was just terrific. And yeah, the theme of that was, that we can find passion in what we're doing now, even if we're on our way to something different. So, and that's very valuable because a lot of the great teachers say, if you want to make change, do it in what you're doing now. Like be the best employee at the job you're in now while you're making that move. And I found that to be profound. And I did it in the jobs that I was in for 20 years before making my big leap. So, sometimes you have to make a big leap in the everyday. And that's pretty good advice right there. That's valuable. So, okay, so tell us, so what happened on that 5th day?
So yeah, I met this family, and I mean that was my moment of like, oh my gosh, I have been putting I'm taking a deep breath right now just thinking about it. Like, so much pressure on myself, right? I was just like racking my brain. I felt so isolated from the people around me. I didn't talk about these questions that I was having. I wasn't talking about what I was feeling. But I just needed to settle down a little bit and look around and see, you know what? I do have a great life. There are things I want to change, and I can change them. I have the power to change them. And there is no destination. I mean, our life is constantly changing. New things are being thrown at us. New opportunities are coming. New possibilities are opening up. How open are you to those things? How present are you? And how can you make the most of your everyday here and now? And, so yeah, it was just this amazing conversation, and we were only together for 10 to 15 minutes. But it felt like a really long time because I felt like they saw right into my soul. Yeah. And we had a really, really deep connection.
Well, it was beautiful because they were elders
Yes.
And I think, if I'm remembering the episode, they had done this before.
Hmm.
So they were very comfortable with who they were.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that and watching you. And one of the things that I love about you is that as I watched you with your guests on Explorer Quest and I watched you with the elders, seeing your eyes and seeing the wonder and joy in you when you connect with other people was so special to me. And it's obvious that that's your gift, is to connect with other people. And you're bringing something out in them, even as you think they're bringing it out in you. So that is one of the best parts of the belief episode. And can people still? How can we find that? Are we going to be able to give them access to that somehow? Is there a
So the
website
Bleak
or?
episode is, I think it's still playing on the OWN network. There might be
Okay.
reruns still going on.
Okay.
They did just, I think they just put out a notice that they're selling the DVDs on the Oprah store
Okay.
online.
All right.
And then also Discovery International is going to start releasing the show starting in December all over the world.
Oh, cool.
So there's a few different ways. I don't have access to links to a website yet.
Okay.
Hopefully at some point, but yeah, there are still ways to get
All
access
right.
to
So
the
we'll
show.
make sure we outline that because it was terrific. I loved it, and it was very. It's eye opening, and it's. I mean that whole first show is so amazing. So
Yes.
not only your part, but the whole thing is just. It's good stuff.
Every episode, I was just like in tears.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So.
good stuff. She's doing some good stuff. Okay, so tell me now. You get home now, and so what happens when you get home?
So when I got home, I decided to. I didn't go back to my IT job right away.
Okay.
I was really enjoying taking time for myself. I had been doing something as a hobby, which now is made with a purpose. I had been doing that since 2010, and so I decided to focus on that a little bit more, turn it into something a little more formal, which is now the social enterprise that it is. And what I do through that is I have women in India that hand make products and we sell them here, and then we're supporting them and education of girls. And my ultimate goal really with these women is to create leaders that can then inspire change, in their community and hopefully even more than that. But the first step was to get them out of this cycle of poverty that they've been in for so long. So I focused on that for a while. I got back to being as healthy and centered and grounded as I could. I continued my yoga teacher training, and I really took about a year and a half to just focus on me.
Yeah.
And it was the best. It was the best thing I could have done. And I was so worried when I came back. I was like, what am I going to do about work and this and that? But I mean, luckily I had been a smart girl and I had saved enough, and I got creative. We're all resourceful. If we can just, tap into our creativity, things happen.
And it sounds like because you had a life-changing experience, you were also changed so that you uncovered some gifts and you decided to follow divine intervention and guidance and just kind of go with the flow a little bit more, not be so planned.
Yes.
You know now that life is not always about having a plan. It's about not having a plan. And that is a plan. It's a great plan. And it's awesome because it's different every day. And
Yes.
you get to meet new people and you get to collaborate and you get to have freedom and space to say yes to new things.
Yeah.
And just be alive. And I think that that's the greatest thing about it. And so tell us now, you have a relationship.
Yes,
And you
I
have
do.
some businesses going on. You both have businesses. So talk a little bit about how now, especially with the Oprah appearance, and then Made with a Purpose kind of cranking up a bit. You now have a lot of traction. So you have you got a lot of things going on. So you're now balancing a different kind of schedule. It's not a 9 to 5 necessarily, but it's like a 24/7 almost. And
Yeah.
I know when we met, you had a lot of stuff going on. So tell us about how you now balance. What is this new life like now?
Well, I'm still learning this new balance, because I did so as Made with a Purpose um, was a little more defined. I did decide to go back to my IT job for a year,
Okay.
and I'm just wrapping that up now. So now I'm balancing the full time job, Made with a Purpose, and then all the belief activities, and
Yeah.
and then continuing to nurture my relationships with friends and family and my partner, and um, it is definitely a skill that you develop over time,
Yeah.
and it takes practice. I mean, it takes practice. So, um, we are I'm so lucky because he's extremely open and aware, and we both are equally committed to doing whatever it takes to make sure that we set aside time for us to do what we need to do.
Hmm.
And our businesses are actually becoming more and more intertwined.
Cool.
So we're very intentional about setting aside time where it's no work, it's just strictly fun, play, go out and do something, disconnect from the business side of things, because we both love what we do. And so it's really hard sometimes for us to disconnect from it when
Yeah.
we really are so passionate about it, and both of us want to make a difference in the world in our own way. And we're gladiators. I think a lot of people in our line of work, uh, we are so passionate and so driven. So
Yeah.
it takes effort.
Yeah, it's hard to turn the switch off, and certainly because we have no boundaries now, we don't have time boundaries, we don't have geographic boundaries, we are kind of like limitless,
Yes.
but we also don't put self imposed limits on ourselves either. So, a lot of the work that I do is with entrepreneurs, and so our species is always driving and up leveling and improving and never stopping. So one of the things we have to do in our relationships is to make that time. And so as you were talking, I was almost thinking, your life now and your relationship and your business, it's all made with a purpose.
It is.
So really, I think it's so beautiful. That's a beautiful name, and it's a great message to live by, because you're making this life. It's really living with a purpose, and I think it's beautiful. And I'm so glad that you made the decision to follow that voice. And so anyone out here who's listening to this right now, and really will be inspired if you dig in a bit more and follow Reshma's journey. I'm going to make sure I put all this stuff in the show notes, because I was totally intrigued and touched, and I am enriched by having met her, and I think you will too. But the message here is we all have a voice. We're all listening to it right now. It doesn't matter what we are doing. Even if we think we're doing the thing that is right for us, sometimes what we have to do is add this engagement and the connection with other people. Because if you are where you want to be, then it's time to help others find the same journey. And I think it's beautiful. We want to talk a little bit more about Made with a Purpose. And let's give a little bit of a plug now to that business. Tell us a little bit more about where they can find, you have a website, right? It's madewithapurpose.com.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit more about what the ladies are making, and,
Sure.
and we're coming on the holidays now, so it's a good thing to talk about.
So they make all kinds of little bags. We have travel kits and pouches to carry things in your purse or laptop bags. They have some crossbody bags, all these different things, and a lot of them are made from vintage saris that have been donated from mostly my friends and family,
Yeah.
which are really special and really cool for me to see. I have pieces that I'm like, oh my gosh, my grandmother wore that, or my
Yeah.
mom wore that. So that's really cool. So yeah, the women hand stitch these. This is really exciting. We just moved into our own facility about 3 weeks ago.
Yay.
Yeah. I haven't even had a chance to update the website yet because
Cool.
it still says
So
that
we got a scoop.
yeah.
All right, cool.
It's been so exciting. Yeah, they were in an old classroom, which was fine, but it was getting cramped. And so we just moved into our own space, which is really awesome.
Cool.
And then on top of that, the women have really their number one, their confidence levels have gone up tremendously.
Hmm.
They are much more. They just have more self-esteem, more confidence, more strength in their voice, and they're excited about having a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
They're making, they're making money. They're able to support their kids, their families. A few of them have moved into better homes. And a lot of them are single women that are raising their kids. So it's been so beautiful to watch their transformation
Yeah.
through this work. Um, and then also, like I said, we're sponsoring additional children with the money that we make too. So,
Cool.
yeah, so that's Made with a Purpose in a nutshell. And hopefully we'll be doing a lot more with that.
Yeah, and I think again, this is you are with me to set an example and to give others permission. So, if you are out there listening to this and you are inspired, think about how simple this model is at its core. This is a sustainable business. This is a recycling business. This is something, taking these garments, which already have a lot of life force and energy and beautiful intention in them, and then giving them to these creative women who are now making something beautiful, and they are beautiful. Listen, folks, I've seen them. They are beautiful. Go onto the site, check it out, get some for yourself and your friends. I know I'm going to be doing that for the holidays. And so now this piece goes back out into circulation, and it's someone's bag. It's got someone's personal stuff in it. So it's, again, such an intimate business, and it's such a great cause, and it's such a great idea, and it's giving people hope and a way out and a way up. And so it's such a beautiful thing that you have done, and I want to thank you for your work and for making a space on your path for me and our audience. And it's been a delight so far knowing you and watching you, and I'm anxious to see what you do next. So congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. I'm excited, and just thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Anytime. It's always a pleasure talking to you. So I am happy to do this with you anytime, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person very soon.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Yes.
I'm going to be coming out to California in February.
Oh, perfect.
So maybe we'll set something up.
Yes, for
Cool.
sure.
All right.
So, and if there's anything I can ever do for you, please let me know.
I will. Thank you, Reshma.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.